I have lots of tasks to do today in the kitchen, around the house. I have lots that I want to show you and share with you. I want to say thank you to the sponsor of this portion of today's video, the RTA Store. The RTA Store is the premier place to buy cabinets online. They provide free online kitchen and room design, personal designer to help you assess your project, and they offer top styles like the ones I'm going to show you here, the shaker, various colors, with the lowest price promise. They also offer full-size sample doors so that you can touch it, feel it. I can visualize this being the perfect way to do a renovation, not only in the kitchen, but also things like mudrooms, pantries. Now here I have a couple of samples to show you. This is the shaker style, which is like what we have in our kitchen. It's very heavy, and I feel like this would never chip, which I think is amazing. They also sent me the sample that is Southport Blue. It's the Southport Blue shaker door and the Providence Natural Gray. If you're looking for a cabinetry refresh or maybe a storage solution in another room like a garage or a mudroom or a pantry, make sure to check out the link in the description box below. Thanks again to RTA Store for sponsoring this portion of today's video. Today in the kitchen, I am making a sourdough babka. I have been doing some recipe testing with this for the blog and of course because it's delicious. Now essentially it's a very similar dough to a sourdough brioche, which I also have on the blog. I've had on there for quite a while. I did a little bit less butter so that would be easier to shape because you do a lot more shaping with this, with rolling it out. Now with the babka, you can do a cinnamon filling, but traditionally it's made with chocolate, so I opted to go that route. Now this recipe will be up on the blog, I believe, by the time this video is out, so if you want all the exact measurements. I did my brioche dough yesterday. I allowed it to rise, do its bulk ferment, and then I put it in the refrigerator overnight. And one cool thing I like about sourdough recipes is you can not worry so much about the timing, but put it on pause in the refrigerator. Whenever I first started doing a lot of sourdough recipes, I would think, okay, if I start now, when will this be done? But now I just start whenever I think of it or when I feel like it. And then if it runs into an interesting time, like it's bedtime and I need to bake it, I will just put it in the refrigerator. So I think I have later in this video another situation where that happens, so I can explain further. But I am just putting the chocolate spread on my babka dough, similar to a brioche dough, almost like a cinnamon roll, and then rolling it up and cutting it down the middle and then doing a little twisty. I have a similar technique that I do for a cheese bread that I think I might have shared on here, but I definitely shared it on the blog. Really creates a beautiful dough and a delicious final product. When I make this, we like to slice into it fresh with butter. Another delicious way to use it is in a French toast or a French toast casserole. So I make a little bit of the extra chocolate filling and then I cut everything up, put it into a casserole dish with lots of eggs and milk, and then sprinkle on the extra chocolate filling. Bake it, top it with some butter and syrup. Oh, it's so, so good. I'm just greasing the pan for a round 2. I do 2 loaves of this at a time while I'm making it. It makes a lot of sense to get it fermenting and get it doubled. That's why most of my recipes, like my no-knead recipe, calls for enough to make 2 loaves. I feel like if you're doing it, you might as well get 2 loaves. I mean, I realize that we're a larger family, but even still, the process takes a while. And so at the end of that, it's nice to have more than one. Enriched doughs like this, so an enriched dough is one that has eggs and milk, something that makes it softer, not just made like a traditional bread with flour, yeast, salt, and water or starter, obviously in the place of yeast. Enriched doughs are soft and fluffy, and they lend themselves to like a soft sandwich bread or a French toast. This particular recipe is an enriched dough. It includes some fat, sugar, dairy, and it's soft and fluffy. So it's good to know those things so that you know what you're trying to achieve with different doughs. And it's really cool because you can adapt one dough to be a lot of different things if you know the differences between the texture and the crumb when you're doing something like an enriched dough versus a bread dough that just has the flour, water, yeast, and salt. I have an organization project that I want to tackle this afternoon. I can either spend the afternoon making something very delicious and from scratch, or I can do a bit of a cheater meal, which is what I've chosen to do. So I pulled some black beans and tomatoes from the pantry, and some sausage from my sister's farm, and an onion from the fridge, and some pasta. I'm gonna make a chili mac. This remains my kids' favorite meal of all time. I think I could make it just every single day, which I wouldn't want to do because I don't like to use that many cans. But if I did, they would be perfectly content. We do pasta with chili over it, and then some cheese and sour cream, avocado, beef it up with some of those additions and freshen it up with some sauerkraut. Everybody is plenty happy with that. And then I usually always have some leftovers. My first round of the sourdough babka has risen until doubled in the pan. So I'm giving it an egg wash and baking it. Earlier, we had somewhere that we had to go. We had a meeting we had to go to. And I was not fully done twisting and shaping the second loaf. And so I threw it back in the fridge. So it'll be very much behind this one. But again, it's okay to pause your sourdough creations whenever you need to step out or do something. You don't have to be burdened by the timing. I'm also taking some photos of the process because this is going on the blog. So much of my YouTube and my blog intertwine because they're all intertwined with life. And I usually just take some shots, not really document it, and like, you know what? Let's just show the behind the scenes of this blog. So this afternoon, I am prepping a very easy dinner and photographing my babka. And in the meantime, while that's baking, I'm going to go and organize something that I have been putting off. Okay, you all may remember this cabinet. I organized it, did a complete overhaul. I don't remember when exactly it was. Let's just say a couple years ago, so I can at least feel a little bit better about myself for how it looks now. The first thing I'm doing here is I threw a pair of overalls that was all ripped up and stained up in here for parts. I wanted it for its little clasp things because those things happen to those, and so I didn't want to get rid of those. But I'm gonna cut those off so that those overalls aren't cluttering up the space, and then just pull things out, place like things together, and get this thing back in order. So what happens to us in situations like this is we know what things go in this cabinet. So things like sewing supplies, needles, pins, yarn, craft type of things, paints, scissors, all go in here, fabrics. But those things have places. But what happens is, and I'm as guilty of this as anybody else, we all visit the cabinet a lot. I have a lot of crafty, creative people in this family accesses this cabinet, and we tend to put things back in a hurry, not where they go. We also collect things like this yarn here. We've had it for a while, and I tried to show my daughter how to knit the other day, and she's really interested in learning to knit. And this was about the worst possible yarn to start with. It was like came apart too easily, and so she kept grabbing the wrong thread. And so I know that we aren't going to use this yarn. I am going to have to buy her some nicer knitting yarn. So what I do when I organize any space is I grab a bag for trash, a bag for donation, and then I just start piling like things together. Like I'm going through this little basket here and putting the pins where they go, the needles where they go. I had a bin just for hot glue guns and glue sticks and staples. Those three things go together in my mind. I guess they like join things. So staple guns, glue guns, and glue sticks. And now they're all over the whole cabinet. And so I'm rejoining those together, putting scissors with scissor sharpeners back together. And then the cord problem, I swear we constantly just get more and more and more cords. We probably only have like one Android device in this entire house. And so I need maybe one, two at the most Android chargers, as many Apple chargers as I can get, but the rest have to go. I also put any thread. There was tons of random spools of thread all throughout the cabinet. It all goes on top. So basically just putting like things back together in a designated bin. It really only took about an hour of my time, and maybe for a year now or so, we will all know where everything goes, because once it gets to a certain level of mixed up, there really isn't a spot. Which spot do the batteries go in? This is also where we keep batteries. I don't really know why, but we've always kept batteries in here. Well, now we know, because they're all in one bin. Where does thread go? Well, it doesn't go all over the cabinet. It's all in one spot. So for a while, this will work. And I know that there are better ways to do things, but this just seems to be our pattern. Just every once in a while, I have to do an overhaul on about every space that we have, because we all just get lazy, I guess. I would say busy, but everybody's busy, right? And throw things where they don't go. But it does feel good to bring it all back together. So right now, because we are calf sharing, we are getting no cream. Also, we're milking a first timer, and I don't know if that's the reason or what, but the milk just isn't the best. I don't really know how to describe it. And so we're all not really loving it, and we just can't wait until our Jersey calves again in April. And we also don't plan to calf share very long. I have been getting cream from a local dairy, and she sells it by the half gallon. And the other day I got to thinking, okay, we bought this delicious, beautiful jar of cream, and unpasteurized cream does go bad really quickly. And so we need to start using it. I need to either make butter or ice cream, something to make sure that none of this goes to waste. So we decided tonight we're gonna make some ice cream. We just blended up, or my daughter blended up to taste, cream, sugar, and cocoa powder and a little bit of vanilla. It turned out very, very delicious. Everybody loves it. It's a great way to get a helping of raw cream, which is basically a superfood. We also had a few fresh things to top the chili, like avocado and sauerkraut, making for a well-balanced meal. All right, well, I hope that you enjoyed going along with me on this day of homemaking, organizing, baking, cooking, and even some dessert. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you're brand new, please hit that subscribe. I make new videos every week on food from scratch, natural living, and our handmade home. Just maybe.